Hello, everybody. My name is Pamela Houston, and I am a personal trainer, fitness consultant with a traveling trainer. And I am here with the amazing Werner Berger. And he is here to tell his fabulous story. And I'm so excited. Not only am I able to do this interview with him, but he is also a personal friend of mine. And I just want to welcome you. So thank you for doing this, Werner. How are you today?
I am well, Pamela, especially sitting here looking at you.
Oh, it just seems like it was just like I blinked my eyes and it was yesterday that I got to finally meet you. And we were sitting with your beautiful new wife, Heshi, and my amazing friend, Gloria, and her husband at dinner at Gloria's house. And that's when I finally got to meet you. But when our audience is wondering, who is Werner? Why don't you tell a little bit about yourself? Who are you? And we're going to get into telling everybody about what amazing trip that you're about to take on. So tell our audience, what has inspired you to be this amazing mountain climber?
Do you want me to brag a bit or just be my humble self?
I want you to brag because, first of all, can I tell our audience how young you are?
By all means.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're 21, 22?
No, come on, 28. Give me a break.
Oh, okay. Warner's actually 79 years young. And we're going to take a trip back. And I'm going to let him speak a little bit and tell all of you about his amazing desire to want to climb mountains and what he has accomplished. So, Werner, please tell our audience what really inspired you to really start this mountain climbing in the beginning, and how young were you?
I was 57, and I was sitting in a self-development workshop, and the guy in front said, think of 3 things that you would love to do before you die, but would probably never happen. And we didn't have the word bucket list, but really what I was thinking about and what I jotted down is I want to climb Kilimanjaro because I was born on the African continent. I wanted to climb the Matterhorn because everybody knows this beautiful mountain in Switzerland. And I wanted to trek to Everest Base Camp because the lore of Everest had caught me ever since 1953 when Hillary got to the top, really never thinking it would happen. Mentioned it to my kids and my wife when I got home, and everybody sort of chuckled, wondering what does this old fellow thinking about it. What was I, 57? And 3 years later, my second oldest son said, you wanted to go to Everest Base Camp. Why don't we go? So we went in 1992, and that ended up being a life-changing experience for me.
Well, and so that your first attempt, as far as were you climbing any mountains in your past or doing any expeditions? As amazing as this big dream sounded, you made it reality.
Well, kids play on hills and on mountains, so that's what I did, but nothing was serious actually. And the trip into the Everest Base Camp area was just so phenomenal. Being in these valleys with these phenomenal peaks on either side of us, snow-capped and just out of this world. The beauty was stunning. So it was very easy to see why I would be captured.
And your son went with you on this adventure, your very first.
Yeah, you bet. And we had a fabulous time. In fact, I tell a little story. He and I had a period of time where we were extremely close when he was young. And then there was a time where there was a lot of friction, and that trip just brought us together again.
And how old was your son when you started this?
He was probably 20, maybe 19, 20.
Okay, wow. So he had the adventure in his blood too then, right?
He has been an adventurer all his life, actually. Yeah. Doesn't climb high mountains, but does really extraordinary things like trek across the top end of Nunavut. Could hardly remember the name.
I'm taking you back in time here for this amazing interview and letting our viewers know all the just wonderful things you've done. So when you completed that, you were like, "Wow, I did it!" You know, it wasn't just a dream, and you were hooked then, right?
Well, it wasn't as much I did it as every time I thought about it, every time I talked about it, every time I looked at the photos, there was this euphoria that really came up. And I knew at that point that I wanted to go higher and I wanted to go more remote, but really never having the seven summits in my consciousness. Let's put it that way. And then one thing led to the next, and sooner or later I found myself on top of Mount Everest, and that was the completion of my seven summits, except that I added Carstenz pyramid, which replaces the small little mountain on Australia called Kosciusko. And that actually tripped me into becoming a Guinness Book of Records holder as the oldest person in the world to have climbed the climber's seven summits.
Wow, Mount Everest. What were you feeling when you got there? I saw that movie that came out a couple years ago in the theater, and I was like and when I was thinking of you the whole time I was watching that, going, my goodness, because I absolutely I'll tell you a little secret. I can't stand the cold, but I'm okay when I'm all nice and bundled up. So the training for this, like, what did you do to prepare yourself?
Well, there are a couple of things. Number one is the cold should not scare you
Mhm.
because you dress for it. You absolutely need to dress for it. And when you properly dress and you're climbing, you generate a lot of heat. So with the right equipment, that's not an issue. In terms of training, most people will need about 2 years of physical activity, unless, of course, they're in reasonable shape, then 6 months to a year can work. And most of my training was with a backpack, either using stairs or a stairmaster or a treadmill on an incline. And then, of course, core exercises, and some weight training.
And you filled your backpack with donuts, right? Every time you got on the treadmill?
Actually, I filled my backpack with water cans or water bottles because
Water.
to get to the top of a climb, you don't want to have this weight coming down because of knee damage. You rather pull the water out and come back down with an empty backpack and then fill it up at the bottom again and go back up.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. So what year was that happened in Mount Everest?
2007.
2007.
Hmm?
And so after you did that, that wasn't enough though for you, correct?
No, I've taken people on what I call transformational leadership experiences,
Mhm.
either to Everest Base Camp or across an Inca trail to Machu Picchu, or now for the seventh time up to Mount Kilimanjaro. But I also did Carsten's.
Climb Mount Kilimanjaro. That's amazing.
Yeah, I also did Carsten's pyramid in the in between, and that's actually what tripped me into Guinness.
Wow. And what did you get from being recognized? Did they give you a medal, or when you finally were like, I did it, I got in the Guinness Book of World Records?
I got nothing. I didn't even know I was in the book till
Oh my gosh.
till about 3 years later. One of my friends, somebody I met, said, "Why aren't you in the Guinness Book of Records?" And I said, "Well, I've applied several times and I've never heard back from them." And she actually raised funds through a fundraising platform to get
Mhm.
into the Guinness Book of Records by paying. And when she'd accumulated the funds, I went into the record book to see who was rated as the oldest. And what did I find? I found myself.
What's your name? Oh my goodness.
So I
Wow.
returned the funds that she raised.
I would have been like, hello on Facebook, social media. Oh my gosh.
So
Well, that is just amazing in itself. So after that, how many, let me take you back a little bit, because I am totally, other than watching in the Hollywood, movies about, mountain climbers and that, am totally like out of sync with that. So that's why I'm asking all these questions. How many people were in your expedition? Was there a minimum or a maximum amount of people that could go?
There were 12 of us, and 9 of us got to the top.
Wow. And so what happened to the others? Did they just stay back or?
Well, 2 of them dropped out because they didn't acclimatize well, and the
Mhm.
third one dropped out because of back problems, back issues.
Okay. And was that their very first time or had they done that before?
One of them, this was their 3rd attempt.
Okay. Wow. All right. So now we're going up in time. So that was 2007, you said?
Correct.
Okay. So then what was next? That wasn't enough for you. You were like, wow, I did all this stuff.
Well, next was the in-between treks. And then the more serious one, as I said, was Carstenz Pyramid, which is the highest point in Indonesia, which is still part of the Australasian plate or subcontinent.
Mhm. Wow. It's like you're Indian. I'm talking to Indiana Jones, but for real, it's Werner Berger, right? So did you have like research as far as clothing and what's the best thing for each step of the way that you went? Because I know, and we'll get back to that with Mount Kilimanjaro, you have to go through the safari, the heat first before you get to the top. Am I saying that right?
You don't have to. However,
Okay.
I highly recommend it. And the safari is not very hot because it's at about 5,000 feet in elevation. But I do it that way so that people, especially people that live at sea level, can partly acclimatize before we even get to the mountain. Because the key with any climb is to get the chemistry of the body changed so that it can adapt itself to a lesser degree of oxygen. That's the critical part.
Wow. Okay. So from 2007, you had some time to think about it. Then what? You were like, what am I going to do next? And after that, you had that last climb, and then what? What year did you complete that?
2013, November 13.
Okay. And somewhere before that, with Mount Kilimanjaro, is where I come in, right? So I have been a trainer for now over 25 years. And one of my clients came up to me and said, one of my very good friends, her name's Gloria, she has this amazing friend that she wants to go out and climb a mountain and be there for him. He's getting married and he wants to get married on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. And I was like, are we talking about like in the park mount, because I was like, Mount Kilimanjaro, where is that? And how long has your friend been training? And so she gave me Gloria's number, and that was like you did that climb, it was December, correct?
Correct.
Was it 2010?
No, that was 2000, either 12 or 13.
Okay.
I think it was 2012.
Okay. And because I'm out of sync with numbers, but so I got in contact with Gloria and she said, I've never climbed a mountain before. And I said, well, we have at least a year, right? And she's like, no, we only have a couple months. And I was like, what? So I went home and started doing my research on mountain climbing because I was ready for the challenge with her. But I obviously wanted to make sure that she was well prepared in such short amount of time. It actually motivated me to be excited to help her along her adventure. So I'm like, well, we first need to talk to Werner because I know nothing about mountain climbing and what you should have and getting your boots because it's indoors and we need to train on the treadmill. And she was working full time and has a family and all these things, and getting her backpack filled not with donuts but things that she was taking along the way. And I learned as she was learning from you, like she would talk to you and talk to me, and talking about her getting acclimated with everything that she needed to do, from her cardio to her strength training. And I was all gung ho, but I was like, gosh, Gloria, I wish we had more time. And so I'm going to let you take on the story. And she was like, I'm off. I'm getting ready to go. And you started your adventure, right?
You bet. And I must admit, you did a great job. I don't know what your fitness level was when you guys started, but she was well prepared.
Well, Gloria was working out, on her own. It wasn't like she wasn't, but I mean, it was a really big challenge. And I never like to discourage any of my clients because I'm a trainer that I believe in the impossible. And I do that with myself. So if I wasn't inspired to believe she could do it, how could she believe she could do it herself? And I wanted to give her all that inspiration and with the help of you on the sidelines, even though I never met you, to, keep dreaming that it wasn't just going to be a dream, it was happening and we were counting down the days. So I'm going to let you take the floor and talk about this because it wasn't just a mountain climb to Mount Kilimanjaro. What was it, Werner? What was the big event?
Oh,
You were getting married.
Hessie and I were going to get married at the top.
Yes.
A little problem arose, however, because at about 12,500 feet, she got altitude sickness. And I decided to send her down. And she said, no way am I going down. I came here to climb. But a few hours later, she knew it was now time to go down. So
and that was her first time climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, correct?
Yeah, yes. And she actually had her wedding dress in her backpack. I had my tuxedo in my backpack. And then when we got back down, she actually went down on morning of day 3. When we got back down, she's around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. She said, "You know what's happening this evening?" And I said, "No, I don't." And immediately, of course, I knew. And she said, "We're getting married," because she'd made all of the arrangements at this particular resort. And it was the first wedding ceremony or celebration that they were hosting. And it was really a neat experience.
And I've yet to see these wedding pictures, so you have to share. So I'm going to kind of ad lib a little bit in between that because when Gloria got back, she's such a busy, amazing, just powerful woman of just strength of faith and her being an attorney and just all the things she does with charities that she went right back into her job and everything else when she came back. And it took a couple months before we actually got to sit down for lunch. And she was telling me about this adventure. And she said, well, Pamela, when I got up almost to the top, and I hope I'm telling the story right, she said, I thought about you. I was thinking every step of all the things you told me, don't give up and keep going and you can do this. And she said, there was this gentleman that was making jewelry that happened to be up on the mountain. And she said, I wanted to give you this gift because it was made on the mountain. And I just want to know how you inspired me that, when you wear it, know what gift you gave me of inspiration. And this is the necklace to this day. I just feel so honored to wear it and, know that Gloria wasn't this extreme athlete, but she had this vision. And just as she's been an inspiration of everything she's done in her life as a mom and a businesswoman and just all the things that she's done to help so many people and your amazing friend that she wanted to be there and she wanted to. And guess what? My motto in life is if you want something bad enough, you're going to make a choice. It's either yes or no. There's no in between, right?
Well, Pamela, it sounds to me as if you need to come with me in July. I'm celebrating my 80th on top on July the 16th. And I went
July 16th, huh?
Yes.
And you're going to have a birthday cake packed in your backpack?
Oh, we don't care much about birthday cakes. If they're great, and if not a problem.
Well, I remember Gloria was telling me with the climate, how do you say it again? Climate. Yeah, there we go. Help me out here. That also with that was a struggle. And then the water that everybody had this special stuff that you could purify your water with the water filters and stuff along the way.
Oh, we have something much better these days. We actually have a water bottle that filters the water and gives you completely and totally clear water. In fact, people are using it throughout North America right now. It's phenomenal
Really?
for traveling. You can.
Is this one of your sponsors? Did you get them to sponsor your climb?
No, but I'm part of their company, and I love promoting them because the products are so absolutely significant.
Awesome. Well, let's give them a shout out. What's the name of that company?
Company is RX, ARIIX, and the product is called Purity, PURITII.
Wow. So there's nothing like it. Obviously, you're the example of making it work, right?
There's nothing on this planet that takes out 99.9999 of the impurities. Tap water is 99.9. And most people will say, oh, so what? It's just an insignificant difference. The difference is between 10 parts of impurity per million and 1,000. 99.9 is 1,000 parts per million of impurities.
Wow.
And
That's incredible.
And we know that tap water isn't safe any longer because people drink so much bottled water. But even 40% of the bottled water is tap water.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but we're getting ripped off daily, right? With not even realizing we're paying this high amount of money and, somebody in a factory is filling up their bottle with tap, right?
And then the pollution factor of these hundreds and literally millions of bottles that get dumped into our landfills and into our oceans. Did you know we have 5 islands of plastic and garbage in our oceans that you can drive tractor trailers on?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the stuff leaches, of course, into our waters. So our groundwaters are really no longer safe and clean. Anyway, that's another topic.
That's a whole nother.
Started on this one.
So we're getting back to where we are now. So we are March 2017, and I believe nothing happens out of coincidence, but everything happens for a reason. And here I am looking on my LinkedIn, and a message from you popped up, and I haven't even heard from you or connected in years. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been thinking about, because I truly believe what you think about, you bring about. And I have a dream myself. I don't think I've thought about climbing a highest mountain, but one of my dreams is you're helping me make this happen today, is to have my own fitness TV reality show, but give inspiration to our world, because there's so much negative stuff out there that looking at so many powerful people that have accomplished things that seem the impossible are great leaders, or, maybe somebody that had nothing and started a business and never gave up. It's that I never gave up. And I was thinking, I just want to get this rolling, and how can I get it started? And all of a sudden your LinkedIn message came in this week, and I was like, what do I got to lose? Hey, Werner, would you do an interview with me last minute, unscripted, just you and I? Haven't talked to you in years. And you're like, let's make it happen. Because I think you are so amazing. When I grow up, I want to be just like you, Werner.
Oh, you're much too kind.
So let's tell our audience of what your newest adventure is. And, we took a step back in time and how we met. What is it that you're about to accomplish now?
Well, we have some really exciting things going on. I'm going to be reclimbing the 7 summits.
The 7 summits?
Yes.
At the age of 79 years young.
My starting date will be on my 80th birthday, because I'm going to say this is the day that I'm really being reborn. And by the time 2020 comes, I'll be on top of Mount Everest and will have done the 7 summits in between. And my purpose of it is to inspire people, just like you.
Yes.
Inspire people to live, and that doesn't matter of their age, to live their lives with more passion, with more purpose, greater health, and much more joy and fulfillment. And we're going to be using the outer journey to trigger the inner journey of growth and learning and really owning who they are. And of course, that leads to thriving. And that's the whole purpose. That's the whole point.
So did you come up with this out of the blue, or just it was a passion of yours? You're like, if I get to this certain age, this is something that, I've done all these things. This is my next adventure. Or was this something that you've been planning for a while?
I'll be really honest with you. I was sitting in a workshop called Digital Footprint. And there was this panel of people, and I knew 3 or 4 or 5 of them. And I stood up and had a question of them. And one of them said, "You have accomplished so much. You are not even known. We're going to change that." And they were already in a mastermind group. And they invited me to join their mastermind group to gain some notoriety. And out of flying to California, spending a day with them, we came up with the name of the effort is going to be "The Game Is Not Over." And as a result of that, I formulated Quest 736, simply meaning 7 summits in 36 months.
Holy cow, 736 Quest.
Quest 736.
And what is your launch date? When are you leaving?
Leaving on the 2nd of July. Be sitting on top of Kilimanjaro on the 16th of July. And that really is the start, if you wish, of the whole quest.
And the end date is, if everything goes along,
will be late May 2020. So the other 6 summits or the other 5 summits will be in between. But I'll also be taking people on some of these transformational treks, which will not be, of course, to the top of the mountains unless they want to go, like Kilimanjaro is a high altitude hike. And anybody with a reasonable degree of fitness and a really desire to explore themselves in a very, very different way can do that. But, not everybody will want to climb Mount Everest or even an Aconcagua, the highest point in South America. And that's okay. But lots of people will want to go to Everest Base Camp or trek an Inca trail to Machu Picchu and be enamored by this incredible Inca culture from 600 years ago. Those are all literally or can be life-changing experiences with the right situation or environment.
It sounds like something out of an adventure movie, but you are the main character, and this is not an imaginary movie. This is for real. I am like so psyched. Like when I get up every day, Werner, I always tell people that I get up and help people take back ownership of their life every day, and in anything that you do in life. People say, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Or maybe you have, 2 doctor degrees and you've never even used it because it wasn't what was inside your passion. And for me, my passion has always been to really help people love their life. And if they're not loving it and they're unhealthy or they're sick or they have disabilities, to give them that inspiration within, just like I got to work with Gloria and just say, you know what, you can do it. We all need mentors, but you're just such living proof. And people think that they get to a certain age. One of my favorite quotes is, I didn't just get up to go to work and, take care of my family and eat and go to sleep and die. That's not what life's about, and so many of us are like stuck because we don't think that this is possible. You get stuck in your finances or family and, you just lose your dream. And I believe everybody should fulfill their dream one way or another. And if you really want it, you have to see it, right? Obviously your visions, you were believing that you could do it before you even got there, correct?
Oh, you bet. And when you talk about not quitting, there was a day on Everest where I was so exhausted. I actually got exercise-induced asthma for about 6 or 8 breaths. And the only thing I allowed myself to think about is it's only one step at a time. And I kept visualizing flying my kite that I had in my backpack when I got to the top. And that pulled me through.
And that was it. You were like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah. Just
wow.
One step at a time, just one step at a time, just one step at a time.
Oh my goodness.
But
as far as the history of, anybody here on our earth, our world, is there anybody that's ever been your amazing young age attempted to do anything like this and accomplish it at your age?
oh, yes, there are 3 Japanese gentlemen that were older than I when they climbed Everest. And in fact, if I do it in 2020, I'll also be the oldest person to do Everest. However, at this point, I'm number 3. So,
Oh my
yes,
goodness.
the body
What
is
an
amazing.
honor it is to talk to you. And, I just feel so humbled to even be so thankful that you're giving this little interview last minute. I'm talking to you on my phone and driving. We just had a snowstorm last night in Cleveland, Ohio, and put me behind a little bit in my day. But I'm so awesomely excited that we're able to do this. And the really vision for me is because there's so many amazing people I've met along my adventure in life that have done so much like yourself. And not that we have to have all the bells and the credibility, but no one knows your story. Let's tell your story, and not only that, but I mean, you just motivated me, I think, for the next year. Just listening to all the things that you accomplished. We get up every day and we're like, oh, I got to go to work. I got this and that. And for me, I'm very much the optimist and I have my down days. But, sometimes when you get like that, I believe that, a great friend and a nice warm bed and a good night's sleep can just cure all. And obviously I'm big into hugs too. So, but really just changing your channel. And you could have the most fittest body in the world as far as I'm concerned. But if you haven't trained your mind, it's pretty much useless. What do you think?
Oh, you're right on. In fact, I just wrote a chapter for a book called Journey to Success. And it's a book focused on health. And I talked about the 4 pillars or the 4 activities that lead to health. And of course, one of them is exercise. The other one is good nutrition. Another one is creating life balance or reducing stress. And the final one is toxin release. But I believe there's a 5th one, and it touches into the spiritual side of things. And it touches into mindfulness. If we are mindful and really know what the consequences are of ill health or not treating our bodies the way they want to be treated and not accepting that how phenomenal our bodies are when we treat them right, then of course we're not going to be as healthy. We might be overweight and not be able to lose. We might end up being part of the 85% that do not die of old age, but of degenerative diseases, or part of those, the balance that spend the last 15 years of their lives in struggle and effort. So I really applaud what you are doing because you create life changes for individuals and allow them not just to live longer, but to live healthier lives, which is phenomenal. Love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I remember sitting down at Gloria's house and we were sitting on the couch and you're like, Pamela, I wish I met you years ago and I would have scooped you up in my suitcase to be my trainer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm very humbled. Thank you so much. I'm just doing what I love to do. And I think that is the other key is when you have a passion about something, it becomes not work. It's just, you love it, and of course we all need to have incomes and things like that. But, to me, one of my favorite quotes is, if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live?
Oh, good
And,
one.
so many people go through life, like I was explaining, they go to their work, they eat, they live, and then they die, and what adventure, what did you do? For me, as what I do for a living for the past 25 years, I want to get up every day and leave a legacy and know that, I have inspired somebody. I've changed somebody. I motivated them to do something that, maybe they were stuck in a black hole and they just didn't believe up here that they could do it. One of the things that I truly believe is that your words, what you speak, are very powerful.
Mhm.
So when you say I can't, I never allow anybody to do that. Take that T off of can't to can. Now you just added, this whole new vision of hope, and just to keep going. And those that are getting up there, they've retired, and what are they going to do in their retirement? A lot of people get out of their comfort zone. They stop working at their jobs and their activities and things. They get sedentary. They start going out to eat more, which they were getting out of their old habits. And guess what? They're 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50, 100 pounds, overweight in a year's time. And that's like how many backpacks on your back, Werner?
If you're talking about Kilimanjaro, at least 5 or 6, because we're talking about 15 to 20 pounds that we carry. The porters carry the rest.
Yeah. Wow. So, at one point, my career changed. I went to Ohio State, and I was studying to be a nurse because of my passion on wanting to help people. And I had the ability to work with so many elderly and seniors, and it was so sad. I really couldn't take it. I was going in, instead of, giving them their normal routine of stuff, I was trying to inspire them to want to get out of the hospitals and all that and start working out. And it wasn't what the protocol was supposed to be at the time. And I was like, my goodness, this is the rest of their lives. What happened? And I started interviewing people. I'm like, what were you doing? And a lot of them, had poor nutritional habits that got them to the diseases or the ailments that happened to where they were, stuck in nursing homes. And I'm not saying that things don't happen, but I mean, I've worked with so many people against all odds, even people that have had strokes and heart attacks that came back.
Yeah.
Because they believed. My mom, I know I haven't seen you in a while, is an amazing example. Had a stroke a couple years ago. And she was told by the top psychologists and neurosurgeons that she would have a mentality of a 2-year-old.
Wow.
And my mom and dad have the amazing love story. They'll be married 50 years this year. And I said, Dad, we can bring mom back. I just know it. I am not listening to what these doctors say. I believe in the medical profession. And my mom never, ever liked to take medicine. And she refused the medicine in the hospitals. And we brought her home. And guess what, Werner? She was in a wheelchair. She was brought home on a stretcher and said that, this was the fate of her life. And I said, no, it's not. And I said, let's reprogram her brain. And we started my mom loves as a hobby being an artist. And it just broke my heart the day that we took her in a wheelchair in the bank because we had to take over her accounts. And I had to take her hand and sign it with an X. Mm-hmm. But with the belief of the impossible, guess what? My mom is going to be in, I think, 81. So, and I told her I was having this interview with you today. And she was like, so many people, but my mom cooks. She draws beautifully, like the coloring books for adults. And we reprogrammed her mind. She loves word searches, word puzzles, and just gave her love and of course my training and put her through physical therapy. You would never know she has a stroke. Wow. Never.
Congratulations. But that's what it's all about.
Yes. And so you are such an inspiration to all of us at all ages, that age is just a number as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and I really come from, if I can do it, you can do it. So let me just keep playing. And if I can inspire you or be a model, so be it.
Oh my goodness. What an inspiration you are to all of us. And I just wanted to give a shout out again of, if you could say when your expedition starts again, is there a website or anything our viewers can connect to personally connect with you, as far as, can anybody join your expedition at this point?
Absolutely, as long as they're adventurous and they smile.
So there's hope for me?
There's absolutely hope for you. There's no question about that. The other
Oh,
thing that I do quite differently from most other people that take individuals on treks is I add a leadership component to what I do, because I consider every single person to be a leader, whether they're husband, wife, father, son, it doesn't matter. Because they either lead people in a positive direction or not at all, or maybe even in a negative direction. And if we can build this in to the adventure and the fun and the exploration, then we really end up with a double whammy, because then people can really come back saying, wow, this was a life-changing experience. So the next climb actually starts, or the safari starts on July the 4th. And people can see about that on my website. And the website is Quest, Quest, the number 736.com. Basically saying Quest, 7 continents or 7 mountains in 36 months. So Quest736.com.
Quest736.com.
And if anybody wants to have a conversation, about it, I'm always open to that, because just like you, I'm into changing people's lives, because that's what gives me joy. That's what keeps me alive.
Yeah, really. I mean, just that inspiration of like, wow, somebody else did something, and changed their life. We got them out of this box and this life of thinking nothing's ever going to change to anything's possible.
You bet.
And is there any other backers that you have, as far as you have sponsors that are sponsoring this whole expedition with you?
We've started approaching some, and there are 2 or 3 that are very close to making a decision. And if they don't make a decision this time, they will make a decision next time, because this is going to truthfully be a global and a historic event. No question about it. So by the time we get to Everest, we'll have enough sponsors.
Wow. Is there any children going on this adventure and any of the mountain climbing you're doing?
We have one single mom that has 11, 12, and a 14-year-old. And they're about this far from signing up.
Wow.
They have a younger one as well, but the younger one will stay with my wife while she is working with orphans. Every time I go on a climb, she actually goes with me. And when I'm on the mountain, she actually administers to orphans. She has an organization called Kids Better World. And her whole intent is to make sure that kids grow up having what they need to truly be the CEOs of their lives. And as a result of that, her real mission is to develop global leaders that will lead us into a cooperative world, as opposed to the kind of world we have right now.
Wow, that is so amazing. And how is Heshi, your beautiful wife? I haven't seen her since I saw you. I do follow her on LinkedIn. So,
well, all you have to ask is what her latest mission is, and she will glow. And her latest mission is to put 1 million of the purity water bottles into the hands of kids that are now dying at the rate of 5,000 per day from drinking polluted water. And so she's building a following. She's building her, what she calls her 101 ambassadors that will help her fulfill on this mission. And again, that's at the end of 2020, that she'll have 1 million done.
wow. What have you both done as far as marketing or anything? Have you got to go on any major talk shows, or everybody? I always think of Oprah because I love Oprah or Ellen or anything. Have you been on anything like that?
I have not. I was actually on Matt Lauer's today when I came off Everest, because I was the oldest person in the Western world at that time to have climbed Everest. So, and then I was on a whole host within a month of that experience, but I haven't been on any since, because we've just launched this Quest 736, or if you wish, the game is not over.
So that's your brand there. The game is not over, huh? I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. That could be like a whole line of sports products and clothes and all that stuff, huh? I'm all about fashion. Speaking of fashion, I have my Cleveland Indians shirt on. And the reason I wore it today is because growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, and what we talked about, as far as accomplishing things, our Indians, we are always at the bottom and making movies, Major League, making fun of Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland's always the, blah, blah, blah. And guess what?
This year.
Last year I took an adventure on my own, and that's a whole nother interview and story, but I adventured out to Hollywood, California, and I've always wanted to go out there. I lived out there for about 6 months, but I wound up coming back and was able to be actually in Cleveland, Ohio for a World Series, and it was amazing to be down there. And I just want to say that, we never gave up. And also home of our champion Cavs. So, it's just like, you just have to have that vision, and, failure to me is just totally never getting up. So we all fail. We learn from things, but, as far as our teams, our sports teams, the Indians, the Cavs, it's just, they just kept going and going and going. And, with that determination, you're bound to get there. And this year we're going to win the World Series, right? Cleveland, Ohio. Woo!
You obviously come from failure just being research.
Yeah. So where is your vision right now? Like your training and your regimen of what you're doing? Tell our viewers, what does it take, because it's not that far away before that July date gets here. What are you doing on a daily basis?
Well, two things really. When I can be outside, we have a little bit of a drainage pit, and it's no more than about 20 feet in depth. But walking down one side and up the other, and just repeating that is strengthening for the legs. And of course, legs and cardio are critical. And if I can't be outside, then I use even a single flight of stairs, just going up and down, up and down, up and down. And then, of course, doing core exercises and push-ups and chin-ups just for upper body strength. That's really where I'm consuming my time. Now, as I get closer to Everest, of course, I will be ramping that up much more significantly. But most people can get ready, if they're not too overweight, in a 2 to 4 month period for Mt. Kilimanjaro.
That's
especially when they have a trainer like you on their side.
That's right. They need to just call me. So Pamela Houston, you're traveling. Actually, that's the name of my company, The Traveling Trainer, because I go all over the place, but I'm back in Cleveland, Ohio. So anybody wanting to go on this expedition, give me a call. My actual website is Pamela Houston, your trainer at yahoo.com. So you can contact me that way. And let's talk about, as we're ending our interview, because we're almost to an hour, hope we still have everybody's really interest in all this and this inspiration. Can you give a shout out one more time of your website or your email again, how they can reach you?
Sure. The email is Werner, W-E-R-N-E-R, not A, W-E-R-N-E-R, at quest736.com. And the website is www.quest736.com.
Awesome. And are you on any social media like Facebook, Instagram, things like that?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook as Werner Berger, and you'll see somebody standing on top of a mountain with their hand up. And on Facebook, I'm Everest Guy, and I'm on LinkedIn.
Nice. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So as I'm concluding our interview, we're going to have to get together before you leave somehow, some way, right?
That would be fun, because you can tell throughout this whole interview, I haven't been able to stop smiling.
Well, Well, you really inspired me, Warner, and I hope that this interview with you will just go viral all over. That was my vision, because not only to let our American population, our world know what an amazing man you are, but what an inspiration. And that's what I'm all about in you, that we can give our world. We turn on the news and it's negative, and it's all great, as far as finding information out, but there's just a small little blurb, it seems, all the time of what great things happen, and magnifying the negative. And I just would love to be part of, my inspiration is having my own TV, like, fitness reality show, interviewing amazing people like yourself and giving inspiration about our mind body nutrition, and really what people have accomplished, to give all of us inspiration to say, you know what, I can do this. If they could do it, I could do it.
Okay.
And I'm really believing, Warner, that with this interview and all the things that you're doing, that this is just going to be the start of this viral inspiration to our world, to get people to want to take care of themselves, and just to really go back to just don't dream, but actually do. We have to apply action if we want to see things really be accomplished, correct? You're not going to get to Mount Everest sitting in your chair talking to me, are you?
You bet. And ultimately, and you hit the nail on the head, we really are one world, and we can either end up killing each other, or we can end up starting to cooperate and seeing, what can we do as a humanity? Right.
Yeah. Let's make a difference together. Well, I am just so honored to have been able to have your precious time, and dealing with our little quirks along the way to make this happen. And I just want to thank you so much, and give Heshi a hug for me. And I'm hoping to see you very, very soon. We'll have to work that out. Do you have anything else to say to our viewers before we sign off?
Well, I think you said it. Don't ever give up, and keep looking for what can you do about your health, because that is the most precious commodity you have. Ultimately, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And if you have millions, I'm sure you'd be happy to give it up to regain your health. So start today. Don't wait for tomorrow.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. And if you have to, watch this interview over and over again until we can inspire you, right?
And if need be, give me a call, and I'm sure Pamela would appreciate a call as well.
Oh, yeah. Just go to our email sites and connect with us. I'm also on Facebook, and my Facebook actually is Pamela Houston, and my brand for myself is, I consider myself, when people ask me what I do for a living, I say that I am a superhero. And on my Facebook, it says, I kill fat for a living. So that's my brand. I am a superhero going out there, killing fat for a living, and helping people take back ownership of their lives one day at a time. So thank you so much, Warner, for this amazing interview. And I'm hoping that we both can make a difference in our world and inspire as many people as we can to live their dreams.
Totally my pleasure, Pamela. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye.
Bye.